Good afternoon. Thank you, Tara, for that. So in 2018, Tara was actually my boss, and I don't remember any of my performance reviews being that nice. That was a very nice intro. I'll have to remind her of that whenever it comes around for the reviews. So thank you for that, Tara. 2018 was a challenging year for recycling programs all across the globe. I know personally, I'm happy 2018 is behind us, ready to move on. For our session today, what I thought we'd do is walk you through our journey with contamination, hard to recycle plastics, and finally, working through our education and technology programs. We've got a couple short videos that we're going to highlight some of the challenges that we faced in 2018, as well as some of our solutions that we have. We're really excited about the future of recycling and waste management. And today we're going to share with you later on some pretty cool investments we're doing as it comes to technology and our education programs. First, let me tell you a quick story of when I first realized that recycling was in trouble in 2018. It actually didn't happen when we started 2018, and China really did completely ban mixed paper, which, by the way, is 30% of the fiber that we move. That was bad, but that wasn't the time we thought recycling was in trouble. It actually wasn't even the time that I had to go to our senior leadership team, including Jim Fisher, our CEO, and tell him that the earnings impact from recycling would be $100 million in 2018. $100 million is a big number, no matter how big your company is. $100 million, that was big news for us, but that actually still wasn't the time that I realized recycling was in trouble. No, the moment that I realized recycling was in trouble was actually when I was having dinner with my mom. You see, she knows that I audit her recycling cart when I walk into her house. You go into her garage, and she's got a 96-gallon cart, right, with the recycling. I flip the lid to see how she's doing, so she knows that's my routine. How many of you all in this room actually flip the lid on a neighbor's, relative's carts? You guys know you do. You know you do. Yeah, you want to check to see if they're good recyclers, right? So at dinner table, my mom asked, can I put Christmas lights in my recycling bin? This is my mom asking me if she can put Christmas lights in her recycling bin. This is my mom, okay? At that moment, that's the moment I realized recycling is in trouble. I also realized that my mom is a wish cycler. For those of you that don't know, there's millions of Americans have this problem across the US, across the country, wish cycling. Wish cycling is a term we use to describe folks who have the best intentions. They want to put everything they can in their recycling cart with hopes that it actually gets recycled. Wish cycling today is the leading cause of contamination in the US. Currently, our contamination levels are around 25% in our programs. What that means is for every ton of material that we collect, we have to pull out 500 pounds of trash to make a good product to sell into the end markets. Contaminants can impact good recycling programs by increasing the cost, reducing the efficiencies of the operations, and lowering the commodity values. But the most serious problem that we have with contamination is the dangers that it causes to our employees that work in your communities to sort recyclables. Propane cylinders explode when they're compacted. Batteries start fires. Propane cylinders and batteries do not belong in recycling programs, and neither do plastic bags or bowling balls. We receive some really unusual items in our recycling programs across the country. And sometimes, as Tara mentioned, we do some media interviews. We get asked, what kind of unusual stuff do you see? They always want to know these unusual items. So we recently sent our plant managers a survey to find out, hey, tell us some of the stuff that you get, right? And we get responses back with, how'd you expect? You get your garden hoses, you get your chains, you get your grenade launchers. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. Grenade launchers, right? There's grenades also, but I tried to edit this a little bit just for the sake of the audience we have. We get deer. That's kind of seasonal, deer season. You get a black bear and a python snake. This sounds like it could be the next cover for the National Geographic magazine, and I'm hoping that we can freelance our new photographer, Jim Fish, over here to help take that picture. But I'll tell you what, the number of bowling balls that we receive is just so fascinating to me. You see, I've never owned a bowling ball myself, okay? But I bowled plenty of times. I even actually took bowling in college. Who would have thought that a college credit in bowling would prepare me for this role today, right? So it's probably one of my best grades I made, actually. But I did a quick Google search. There's 3,000 bowling alleys in the US. Every week, we collect, through our recycling facilities, 100 bowling balls. That means we collect over 5,000 bowling balls a year. It works out to be 80,000 pounds of bowling balls annually. Now, the last I checked, bowling balls aren't on anybody's acceptable list for recycling programs. But somehow, once a week, we get 100 wish cyclers that decide, I'm going to take my 16-pound bowling ball and go to the recycling cart and just drop it in the 96-gallon wishing well that we call the recycling cart. It's amazing. 100 times a week that happens. It's strictly amazing. The good news is my mom doesn't bowl, so I cannot blame her for this one. She's not a bowler. Some other quick stats that I want to talk about: 96,000 propane tanks every year, 28,000 batteries every month. We spend 140,000 hours a year cleaning screens at our facilities. That's 140,000 hours that our machines could be processing millions of tons of more recyclable material. When we talk about contamination, you hear about the negative impacts from contamination. You hear about financial implications. One of the voices that you rarely hear about when we talk about contamination is the folks that are physically fighting our battle against contamination every day at our recycling facilities. So what I thought a couple weeks ago, we came up with an idea is, why don't we do a video to really show the audience what contamination impacts from the curbside to the processing, from essentially the voice of our frontline employees that are fighting this war on battle against contamination. We'll show a quick video.
I've been driving for waste management for 25 years. This is Christmas tree, propane, and plastics bag. It's not recyclable.
Only bottles, cans, paper, and cardboard go in the recycle bin. Some recycling programs have over 25% contamination. We spend too much time sorting through contamination and not enough time sorting through good material to help the environment.
The oddest thing I'd have seen was a skint deer.
I saw a badger dead with his eyes open, and it terrified me. I thought it was gonna wake up, so I didn't touch that one.
The most common thing that I would see contaminate the line would be Christmas lights.
Water hoses that stop the stars from spinning around, and anytime we get jammed, the whole system shut down. Right now, as you can see, everything is shut down because we have to clean the machines.
There's a lot of plastic bags that we get through the system. Grocery bags, bags filled with leaves, that's also get caught up in the screens.
Screen cleaning is when we go inside the screen and we take out the unwanted material, old clothing, old shoes, metal material.
When we go inside the screens, you might have a pole sticking out the shaft, and we have to pry it out. Or we might have cords that's wrapped around 3 shafts, or ropes, or chains, and we have to use the tools to get those things out. The tools we have is a hook knife, some wire cutters, and some pliers.
6 times a day, we stop the machines to clean for contamination.
Well, it would probably take us up to 2 hours to clean the screen out when recycling is not done properly.
We try to clean the screen 100% so it can run smooth as possible without causing any jam.
Now that I work here at Waste Management, I tell my friend that recycling is really important. If more people would recycle right, we could process more recycling a day.
I hope you guys like that video. You know, when we were making that video, oh great, yeah. I will tell you, these are some of the hardest working folks in the waste industry. When we were making the video, we were actually trying to get them, hey, can you complain a little bit more about, you know, it's really, this contamination stuff is really a problem. These guys are truly hard workers. They didn't complain once about it. Really proud of our employees that do this every day. The one thing that we get asked a lot from customers, municipalities, what's the number one thing I could do to help the economics of my recycling program? It's really simple: clean up the contamination. That's the best thing that we can do. Cleaner materials always improve the economic value of those programs. So we heard a lot about plastics this morning, so we're going to hear a little bit about a good story of what we would call hard to recycle plastics. Recycling plastics is simple, right? If you look at the bottom of these plastic containers, they have some arrows going around them with a bunch of numbers, 1 through 7, most of the time are the numbers on there. The key is not everything that has a number on the bottom can be recycled in a curbside program. The number 1, those are usually your soda bottles, your water bottles, those can be recycled. Number 2, the milk jugs, detergent bottles, those can be recycled. The reason why is because they have really good domestic markets here that we can sell into. The hard to recycle category has traditionally been what we call the 3 through 7 range. China last year impacted that from a lot of global basis by not taking in plastics. And so we would get calls from all over the country, all over the world, asking us, hey, what are you guys doing with your recycling? And we had developed a solution a few years ago to really work with companies that can take some of these hard to recycle plastics. We got a great relationship with all our plastics customers, but the one that I thought we should highlight today is a journey on how we handle our number 4 and 5 plastics. Those are the resin identification codes. Tubs and lids are what you may know it. There's some households that would just simply call it polypropylene. I think some of the folks this morning, they would just say, pass the polypropylene with the butter in it, maybe. But I say KW Plastics is one of our customers located out of Troy, Alabama. We've got a good representation from our KW customers today. They're itching to get out to the golf course, so I'll try to speed this up a little bit for them. But let me tell you, they've been a great customer of us, and importantly, they make some great products with this material. We want to show a quick video of following essentially these polypropylene products, these plastics, through into the products that they make for their customers. So let's show this next video, please.
KW Plastics is the world's largest plastics recycler. We purchase post-consumer polypropylene and high-density polyethylene from all over North America into South and Central America, and we provide a post-consumer resin. Polypropylene is in a lot of products that we touch on an everyday basis. For instance, used yogurt cups, takeout trays, containers, detergent bottles, shampoo bottles, primarily packaging, but all sorts of plastic goods. We began to see more and more polypropylene packaging in the waste stream. KW Plastics was the first reprocessor to purchase post-consumer polypropylene right from the curbside and residential programs. Most people tend to gravitate towards the larger items, the detergent bottles, the milk jugs, because that's what we're all been used to recycling for a long time. But we decided that we needed to look beyond that because our demand was so high. So even something as small as a yogurt cup has tremendous value inside the recycling bin. We worked with Waste Management, and they were able to make adjustments at the MRFs to be able to start sorting that material out and baling it. And then it comes to our facility here in Troy, Alabama. It enters a wash line process, goes through a stringent cleaning process, size reduction process, and then an extruder process. The end product is a post-consumer resin pellet, and then that is sent to molders all over the country who make packaging and home goods from that material. Everything from razor handles and toothbrushes to home goods such as wheels on grills, automotive parts, storage totes, shelving, a wide variety of items. And then of course we have our own paint container that is made by a sister company of ours, KW Container. They make a 100% recycled, 100% recyclable, all plastic paint can. It makes so much sense that plastic provides tremendous benefits over metal. Its unique patented technology provides an airtight lock lid, so it prevents skinning, and the plastic prevents denting, rusting, and really an altogether more sustainable package. Very important that we have U.S. homes for our recycling. When people throughout the U.S. decide to recycle, Americans are using American companies to pick up their recycling. American transportation takes it to another American company where it's then reprocessed, such as KW Plastics. There is a price tag that is attached to every plastic package that's polyethylene or polypropylene. And when we decide to bury in a landfill, we're literally burying money in the ground. When we decide to put that into a recycling bin, then that dollar multiplies exponentially, creating jobs all along the way.
that was a great video. You know, we've showed this video. We just made it, but we actually showed it a few times to a private audience, and they always ask, what is the flag below the American flag on the video? This flag here. And I know that's confusing, but a sidebar, a little education. That's actually the state of Alabama flag. It's very confusing though, because I think most people in the room assume that this would be the state of Alabama flag, right? That's the proper one to have on the flagpole. So we do want to thank Stephanie Baker, the team at KW Plastics, Billy Jeffcoat, Scott Sanders. They're here in the audience today with us. Thank them for doing this in the video. Great. I will say that Billy just showed me on his phone, our first polypropylene order from Waste Management to KW Plastics happened in 2009. So been a great partner for a long time. I want to thank them for the demand that they helped create domestically, and more importantly, now we're adding equipment in because their business is going so well. We're adding equipment in to continue to sort polypropylene in our plants so that we can help feed that domestic market they've created. The next steps we're going to go on the final segment is a little bit around education and technology. So if you had to pinpoint 2 potential solutions where we should really focus a lot of our efforts, that would be, in my opinion, around education and technology, right? Education programs that help the wish cyclers of the world understand what the right items are to put in their bins, the right items to recycle. We have a program at Waste Management called Recycle Often, Recycle Right. It's an outreach program that we have that customers can go onto the website. They can print off logos and labels so that they know exactly what the right materials are to go into those bins. The second part of the equation would be on the technology side. 2018 was the first full year that we were able to collect data and productivity stats from our very first robot in a recycling facility. By the end of this quarter, we'll have 3 robots, 3 different recycling facilities, and 3 different manufacturers. So I'll be honest, what Mick showed earlier, you know, I was excited about this robot until I saw his presentation. He's helping kids feed themselves with arms and stuff, and this seems minor compared to what he's doing, but in the world we live in, we're excited about these robotics. I'm happy to say that they're working great alongside our other upgrades that we're doing in additional screens, optical sorters. So we do think that robotics will play an important role in the MRF cycle. Material recovery facility, by the way. Next, we'd like to tackle some education technology. So this is the last video that we have, and then we'll wrap it up. Thank you.
One of the most effective methods we've seen for reducing contamination is educating customers through tagging of the recycle bin. It also has a link to our website that has additional resources for education.
I have a camera in my truck, and when I dump the container, I can see what is a good recycle, what's not good recycle.
We also have cameras that go inside the bins. We're able to identify contaminants as they go in and notify customers right away that they've got material going in the bin that doesn't belong.
Today you're at a recycling facility. Recycling facilities is where we take stuff and we separate it.
We found that by recruiting recycling ambassadors, often children, they actually go home and educate their parents about what to put in the recycle bin.
Bottles, cans, and paper. That's all you gotta worry about putting in your recycling bin. Now the 3 items we never wanna see is food and liquid, plastic wraps and bags. Those need to go back to the grocery store. And then foam, we don't want foam here. So can I rely on you guys to be my recycling ambassadors with me? Yeah!
We need recycling education to help teach customers about how to recycle right. Only bottles, cans, paper, and cardboard go in the recycle bin. And when people put other things in there like plastic bags, water hoses, Christmas tree lights, we spend more time getting those materials out and not enough time sorting through good material. Education and technology do go hand in hand at Waste Management. We've invested over $1 billion in recycling infrastructure that includes equipment and technology, and we are constantly looking for ways to improve the recycling program. As the trucks come into the facility, the first area they go to is the tipping floor. We are starting to use cameras and other technologies to help us identify contaminants right when they come into the tipping floor area. Once the material leaves there, it goes into what we call a pre-sort. This is where big contaminants are sorted out, usually by people. One of the technologies we use is an optical sorter. It uses air and cameras and can sort about 600 items per minute. When you compare that to the typical human sorter, it's about 10 times more efficient. A ballistic separator is a piece of sorting equipment where fine material falls through the screen. Containers fall off the bottom, whereas lightweight material flows over the screen. Recycling centers are essentially manufacturing plants, and we want to make the best products we can. From the moment we touch the material, we use technology to gather data about what's in the material stream so that we can use that information to help educate customers about how to recycle right. That way, we can all work together to improve the environment.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. So we know we must invest in education programs, and we know we must invest in new technology. We also know that waste management can't do this alone. We have to work with our customers, we have to work with manufacturers, we have to work with municipalities, the communities, the end users. All this has to come together to solve some of these recycling issues that we face today. We strongly encourage folks in this room to support buying products, manufacturers that use recycled content. Creating that demand side of the equation is really what's going to help out. We've got two great examples here in our backyard at the Waste Management Phoenix Open that I'd like to share with you. The first one, if you go through the golf course, you'll realize we have about 5,000 containers, cardboard containers that collect recycling and organics. Those cardboard containers all started life from a waste management customer's mixed paper, processed through a waste management recycling facility, and then converted into a cardboard box by Pratt Recycling. The same mixed paper, by the way, that China banned. So a great story there on how we found and created alternative markets when we had these issues last year. The other story I'd like to share with you, on the course you'll see a lot of folks wearing the Waste Management Phoenix Open logo with a shirt or jacket. There's a company called Bermuda Sands that makes a lot of those clothing, and they get their material from one of our largest buyers of soda water bottles, a company called Unify. So two great stories that we have on how we're actually purchasing ourselves from manufacturers that utilize recycled content. Shifting gears a little bit, next I'd like to talk a little bit more about technology. Earlier we said that we had some cool investments we were making, so I'd like to talk to you about that. So the recycling technology that's coming out now is very impressive, and we actually had this vision for, with all the data we collect and the technology, is there a way we can mix these two together into a recycling facility that could be more efficient and produce higher quality materials than ever before. A facility that could actually take material out, not just today's material, but material as that stream evolves into the future, so future materials. Materials that are specifically targeted to yield the highest quality for our customers, call that positive sorting. We shared that vision with Waste Management senior leadership team last year. They approved the project wholeheartedly, and today I'm proud to say we actually have a facility, equipment's being installed and arriving daily, and that facility is very exciting to see. There it is. That facility is very exciting to see, and when all the pieces get put together by the end of this year, hopefully we'll have this project that's now no longer what we call the recycling facility of the future, but the recycling center of today. Now this project is Waste Management's largest residential recycling investment. And so if it doesn't go well, then this time slot next year will be wide open. So, so you might want to volunteer for this slot next year if that doesn't work. Hopefully, if it works, we'll be able to share with you. So, as the nation's largest recycler, we continue to ways to look to advance in technology, education programs that would help wish cyclers like my mother know that Christmas lights don't belong, that bowling balls don't belong in the recycling bin. When we're looking out to 2019, the markets don't look that much better than what they did in 2018. However, we are continuing to invest in items that will make our programs more sustainable for years to come. And that's why encouraging domestic demand for these products is really a part of our core principles we'll have moving forward. So today, you've heard from our frontline employees talking about battling against contamination. You've heard from one of our great customers talking about how they deal with hard to recycle plastics. You've heard about us investing further in our education programs, Recycle Often, Recycle Right. And you've heard us about technology advancements from robotics all the way to recycling centers of the future. I'd say at Waste Management, we're committed to adding to our investment of over $1 billion in these recycling assets so that our customers can recycle the right materials for years to come. So thank you.